Took my late grandmother's ring to be resized last month. The jeweler held it under his loupe, set it down, and looked at me over his glasses. Where did you actually get this? I told him. My grandmother wore it every day for 50 years. My grandfather bought it for her in 1962, the year they married. A simple gold band with a small sapphire. Nothing worth interrogating. He picked it up again. What did your grandfather do for work? Traveling salesman, I said. Textiles. Why? I've been in this business for 30 years. This setting is Eastern European, pre-war. The hallmarks inside the band don't match any American or Western European standard I've ever seen. The gold tests at a purity that wasn't commercially available in the US in 1962. I stared at the ring. My grandmother had worn it at every Christmas dinner, every birthday, every Sunday church service I could remember. She made casseroles and watched game shows and never once mentioned anything mysterious. The idea that the ring had some dark history felt genuinely ridiculous. But I went home with a knot in my stomach I couldn't explain away. That night, I dug through the family documents my mother kept in an old shoebox in her closet. My grandfather died in 1987, before I was old enough to ask him anything real. I'd always accepted the outline. Born in Ohio, married young, sold fabric samples until retirement. But the further I looked, the more things didn't hold. His birth certificate listed a city I didn't recognize, not in Ohio. I looked it up. It was in Poland, in a region that changed hands several times before and after the Second World War. There was no census record, no school enrollment, nothing placing him anywhere in the US before 1955. I submitted DNA samples through a genealogy service for myself and my mother, then requested his immigration records through the National Archives. The immigration records came back first. No entry under his name before 1959. The Ohio birth certificate had been issued retroactively, a practice sometimes used to create new identities for post-war refugees, or for others. I sat at my kitchen table at 2 in the morning staring at these documents, trying to reconcile them with the man in the photograph on my mother's wall. Thick glasses, kind smile, plaid shirt, my grandfather, whoever he actually was. The DNA results arrived on a Tuesday. My mother was with me. We had significant Ashkenazi Jewish heritage that neither of us had ever known about. My mother sat very quietly for a long time. Neither of us spoke. We just sat there looking at a document that rewrote everything we thought we knew. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. You've been pulling immigration records. Not a question. I didn't respond. My mother watched my face. There are things about your grandfather that should stay buried. For your sake. The ring belongs to a family in Warsaw. They've been searching for it for 80 years. Donate it to the claims organization, quietly, and this conversation ends here. Or keep pulling threads and we can discuss what else we know about your family. The line went dead. I looked at my mother. She'd heard most of it. Her face was completely white. She said quietly, "He told me once, when I was very small, that he'd done things to survive that he couldn't ever tell anyone. I thought he meant the war. I was too young to ask what he actually meant." We went to the Holocaust Claims Organization together the following week. Their Providence researchers identified the ring in 10 days. It had belonged to a woman deported from Krakow in 1942. Her granddaughter is alive, living in Toronto. We mailed it to her ourselves. I don't know who my grandfather really was before he became the man my mother grew up with. The researchers said it's possible he survived by assuming a dead man's identity. It happened more than people realize. There are gaps no one will ever fill now. My mother is in therapy working through it. She says she feels grief for the grandfather she thought she knew, and something like relief that his lifelong silence wasn't about nothing. So am I, honestly. The Toronto woman sent us a letter. I've read it maybe a dozen times. It's the kindest thing I have ever